Hey, I'm Aja A, and welcome to Sunshine Haze. Don't forget to check out all the links that I have listed down in the description box, and if you like the video, please give me a little thumbs up. If you have any questions after the video is over, feel free to drop them down below. I try to respond to everyone. And if you all know people interested in astrology, numerology, tarot, or whatever I'm talking about on this channel, go on and send them this link. And don't forget to hit subscribe. And of course, thanks for tuning in and rocking with me. May this info help y'all live your best lives. Peace. Hey y'all, welcome back to SunshinehazeCo. I'm Aja A. As you see tarot cards on your screen, you know it's time for a new moon reading. This time around we're looking at the Scorpio Lunar cycle, so that is the month of November pretty much. Typical 4-card spread, looking at the energies popping up for you, or energies that you need to be tapping into, any challenges or obstacles you might be facing, because we are dealing with Scorpio energy, looking at where you need to duck off and diligently do some work. And as always, a quick little soul message for you. This video is for the Aries sun, moon, and rising. Please remember this is a general reading, so if you feel like what I'm saying isn't resonating with you, please check out your moon and or rising sign, which I do have the playlist link down below in the description box, okay? So let's just go on and get started with your reading, Aries. The first card that I have coming up for you in your spread is Truth. And before I even get started, very quickly, you've got 2 7 elements in your reading. You've got Truth, which is 25, which breaks down to 7, and you've got All That Glitters, which I'll talk about this a little bit later, but it's 16, and that breaks down to 7 as well. So to start off with this message being with this card, 7 is the number of truth. It's the number of divinity, of philosophy, of introspection. So what I feel when I pulled this card, especially when I pulled the rest of the cards in your spread, I got this sense of some of you Aries feeling a little stifled or a little, I don't want to say stagnant, because I feel like you've been moving, been doing work, but I feel like you might feel a little stuck or a little weighed down, as so to speak, if that makes sense. And that feeling is coming from a lot of you, and you guys are fire. Your element is fire, so you're all about passion. I feel like a lot of you Aries have been in these situations. You know what, not even that. I feel like you may have been living your life a certain way, been doing a certain thing, and while that worked and while you may have wanted that at one time, you were coming into this space to where life looks a little different for you. You're starting to find happiness in different things. You're starting to think, well, you know, I did this for this long. Do I still really want to do this, or do I want to do, you know, something different, or do I want to approach my goals in a different way? And I feel like that energy that I was speaking of is coming from you guys tapping into this truth. So especially because we are in a water retrograde, we're in a Scorpio Mercury retrograde, we're dealing a lot with the energy of reflecting and correcting on our emotions. And when we're talking about emotions, on how we feel, and that can not, it's not always attached to people and situations. That can be, you know, how do we feel about how we're living? So this Truth card coming up here, I think for the month of November for you Aries, you're going to be doing a lot of thinking and a lot of discovering yourself and rediscovering your passion, so to speak. I think that's what's really going to be coming up for you in the month of November. And I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, you do feel, like I said earlier, a little stifled. You do feel like the odds are against you because you've put in so much work into one thing and you haven't really thought about or tried to figure out how to do this other thing that's starting to pop up or brew for you. But just keep in mind, as these energies are coming in for you Aries, everything happens for a reason and everything happens in divine timing. Right now is your spark. And also, like I said, we're in a retrograde, so you don't really got to make moves right now because they can be a little chaotic, especially with it being water. Y'all could really get tossed and lost in the sauce because it's not a compatible energy with you. But this Truth card coming in Aries, I feel like you're rediscovering yourself, rediscovering your passions, re-strategizing, rethinking about the way that you're living your life, or the things that you're doing, or the way that you want to see your life play out. So if you haven't started to tap into this energy, I wouldn't be surprised if it starts to come up for you during November. You start to kind of feel a little disconnected from some things that you used to be extremely connected to. If you start to feel like you're moving away from or outgrowing certain situations, that is just the way the cookie crumbles, because your truth is, your happiness is starting to find itself elsewhere, and it's now time for you to follow it. Okay? And look at that. What do you know? The next card, sometimes I pull these cards and I look at them and I reflect on them, and sometimes I just pull them and press record. So I didn't know that this card was here. You've got Nan Nan Bouclou La Flambeau, which is the Petro 2. It's the 2 of Fire, the 2 of Wands in this deck. And in this deck, I really like this fire card because it really comes with this energy of really tapping back into the self and taking charge on that direction. If you look at the imagery on this card, all these little guys got fire in their third eyes. So it's kind of like, you know, you're tapping back into your intuition, and you are now following your intuition. You're now working on that intuition. And this is a card that further supports, you know, understanding yourself and understanding your passions, but it's in a crossing position, right? So that energy I was talking about, feeling not stagnant, I'm feeling suffocated. That's the word I was looking for. I'm like, it's an S word. It's not stagnant. It's not, but it's suffocated is what I was looking for. Feeling kind of suffocated in regards to being able to make moves in the way that you want to make your moves. But you can always turn these crossing cards into upright positions. And I think it's going to be important for you, Aries, to do that during this next month. This energy here is just saying you're having a hard time figuring out what makes you happy, figuring out what your passions are, figuring out what you want to do with your life, or figuring out how you want to do things in your life. But you can turn this into an upright position. Tap into that third eye energy. Tap into yourself. Do some meditations if you got to, some intuition, some clarity meditations if you got to. And when you get to the point to where you're starting to understand what it is that you want, what it is that you desire, what it is that you feel like will bring you contentment and happiness in this life, that's when you're turning this into an upright position to support this truth card, okay? And that's going to be really important for you during this next month of November, all right? Especially because we just had your full moon. So there's some things clearing out. You know, you cleared out some pillars, cleared out some space. So now you're in the point to where, okay, you're prepared to bring in whatever it is that you need to bring in, but you got to figure out what that is, okay? Tap into that little third eye, Aries. Now, the next card coming up in this spread is one of my favorite cards in this deck. It's the Congo Mambo. It's one of my favorite cards, period. It's the Queen of Water, Queen of Cups. But in this deck, I was just talking about intuition. This is a card that's very closely associated with your intuition, and this is where it's underneath the Scorpio energy, where you need to duck off and diligently do some work. And the Congo Mambo is a Scorpio card also, along with the Pisces, and a Cancer card. It's the Queen of Water, the Queen of Cups. Going back to what I said about intuition and really feeling yourself and really filling out what it is that you need, I actually want to emphasize the message of maybe doing some clarity meditations, or maybe doing something that, you know, as I like to say, helps you find your zen. You need to get back to this essence of yourself during this next month. And I know Aries, hearing the word self puts a little bit of fear, makes you shaking your boots a little bit, because you guys have that on your shadow side negative association with selfishness, but so does Scorpio. So with that being said, especially coming off of your full moon, going into the Scorpio lunar cycle, and having these cards here that talk about tapping back into the self, I think it's okay to be selfish during this next month. Now, that's not to say to be burning people up along the way and to be rude and to be nasty and to be mean. That's just to say, during this time, Aries, you got to help yourself before you help other people. So you may not be as available as you were in this month, in comparison to in comparison to the past or the previous months. But with that being said, you know, still operate with positive energy, still operate with, you know, generosity if you can, but focus solely on what it is that you need. Focus solely on not so much what you want your life to look like, but what you want to feel like in this life, if that makes sense, especially with all this water energy here. It's all about the feelings. It's all about, you know, what I said earlier makes you feel content, what makes you feel happy. Excuse me. So Aries, tap back into self. Really do whatever you got to do that helps you find your zen, because once you find your zen, you're able to realign with the self, realign with your higher self. And once you're realigned with your higher self, you are in, you know, you're working hand in hand with what's best for your highest good. And that is very important for you during this month of November. So you've got to devote a little bit of time to you. And if that means figuring out again who you are and just what it is that you like and what it is that you love and what it is that you need, then that's what you need to do during this month of November, because your truth is what's most important. Your truth is what's going to help move you along through this season of change and prepare you for the winter, and then prepare you for your next year coming up in the next 6 months, okay? All right, Aries. I was gonna say the last song, but I'm not singing to y'all. The last card that I have coming up in your spread is in the soul message position, and you've got all that glitters. And again, I was talking about this being a 7 card, so here's the truth. Let's kick some game. Let's keep it real. What did I just say with this card? Not so much what you want your life to look like. All that glitters is not gold. So Aries, I understand, especially with y'all having that cardinal fire, passionate, I'm gonna do what I think is best for myself and whoever else I'm attached to. You gotta reel that back a little bit and figure out what is actually best for yourself and all the energies and the things that you're involved in, okay? All that glitters, not what you want life to look like. It's not all about the white picket fence or, you know, all the money and all the cars and all these things and the persona and you know, the things like that. It's, again, what I said, it's what you want to feel like in this life. What makes you happy? What makes you content? And can you get there without passing judgment on yourself for not tapping more so into this energy, more so into, okay, well, this looks good, so I need to do work to make sure that I'm doing this. No, that's not what it's about. It's about, this feels good and this feels right, so I'm going to figure out what changes I need to make in order for me to tap back into the life that I'm supposed to be living. Live your best life. That's my slogan. And I think that is what you need to circle back around to during this month, Aries. So during the month of November, you know, a little bit of reflection, a little bit of tapping back into you, rediscovery, so that you can live your best life. All right, yo, that's your reading. I hope that it resonated with you. If you feel like you need a personal reading or you'd like to book your own, feel free to talk to me down below or check out my Etsy shop. That's linked down below as well. Go on and watch that Scorpio Lunar cycle video. I'm talking about the collective energies that we're dealing with during the month of November underneath the Scorpio influence, and also the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio video. As y'all know, Mercury retrogrades are wild, so I got some info in there for y'all on that. And thank you guys for watching. See y'all next time. Peace.